Let's start here with the truth that nobody else will tell you. Being chosen is not a gift that comes wrapped in ease. It is not a life free from pain or confusion or doubt. In fact, listen carefully, being chosen is often the very reason your life has been harder than everyone around you. Because the universe does not waste pressure on ordinary things. A diamond is not formed in comfortable conditions. Gold is not purified in lukewarm water. And you have been through fire. You have been through betrayals that cracked something open in you. You have been through periods of profound loneliness where you looked around and realized that nobody in your circle truly understood the depth of what you were feeling, the complexity of what you were carrying, the vision that burned behind your eyes when you closed them at night. And in those moments, the temptation was real, the temptation to shrink, to simplify yourself, to become the version of you that the room could hold without discomfort. You know that feeling, the moment when you almost said yes to a life that was beneath you. The moment when the exhaustion of being different almost convinced you to just fit in. But you didn't. And that is precisely why you are still here, reading these words, feeling something stir in your chest that you haven't felt in a long time. Because the chosen one does not choose the easy exit. The chosen one stays. The chosen one endures. The chosen one understands, on some cellular level, that the weight they carry is not a punishment, it is a preparation. Part 2. You were northeast, were meant to feed. Here is something that took me a long time to understand, and I want you to receive it today like a gift. The reason you never feed in was never a flaw, it was a feature. The people who were designed to change the world have always been the ones who felt like strangers in the rooms they walked into. Think about every visionary, every prophet, every revolutionary, every artist who shook the foundations of culture. Not one of them described their early life as a comfortable belonging. Every single one of them felt the particular ache of being too much and not enough at the same time, too passionate for the people who wanted you come, too honest for the circles that were not comfortable lies, too deep for the conversations that stayed safely on the surface, too awake for a world that had decided to stay asleep. And because you felt that ache, because you experienced that particular loneliness of being misunderstood by the very people you loved most, you may have spent years trying to diagnose yourself. You may have tried to figure out what was wrong with you. Why couldn't you just be satisfied with what everyone else seemed satisfied with? Why did you need more meaning, more truth, more depth, more connection, more purpose? The answer is simple, and it will change everything when you finally let it land. You couldn't be satisfied with less because you were not built for less. You were not built for a small life. You were not built for shallow water. You were designed by God, by the universe, by the sacred intelligence that breathes through all living things to go deep, to go far, to carry a fire that doesn't just warm you but lights the way for everyone who comes into contact with your life. Part 3. The tests were real and you passed. I need you to stop for a moment and actually acknowledge something. I need you to pause whatever running commentary is happening in your mind right now, all the self-criticism, all the "but I haven't done enough yet," all the comparisons to people who seem to have it more together than you, and I need you to look back, really look back. Look at every moment when life came at you with something that had the power to destroy what you were becoming. Every betrayal, every loss, every season of financial pressure that made you question whether your dreams were even real, every relationship that ended not with closure but with confusion, Every time someone you trusted looked at your vision and laughed, or worse, said nothing, turned away, went quiet with the kind of silence that communicates down more loudly than any words could. You went through all of that. You went through nights that were so dark you couldn't imagine morning. You went through moments of such profound self-doubt that you questioned whether the version of you that believed in something bigger was even real, or whether it had all been a beautiful delusion. And yet, here you are, still standing, still burning, still carrying the fire. That is not luck. That is not accident. That is the evidence of something unbreakable in you. Every single test that life put in your path, every single one was not designed to destroy you. It was designed to reveal you, to strip away everything that was not truly yours, so that what remained was undeniable. And what remains in you is undeniable. I want you to hear that. What remains in you after all of it is undeniable. Part 4. The Gift of Unearth. East Stein in a Desunearth, East Sane World. The subtitle of this message is not an accident. You are the only one who stayed honest, and I want to spend time here, because this is the part that separates the truly chosen from the merely talented. The world is full of people with gifts. The world is full of people with intelligence, charisma, drive, ambition, but the world is desperately, urgently, heartbreakingly short of people who stayed honest with themselves about who they were and what they needed, honest with others, even when the lie would have been so much more convenient, honest about their pain instead of performing invulnerability, honest about their confusion instead of performing certainty, honest about their doubts while still holding their faith. Because here is what happens to most people on the journey. Somewhere along the way, the cost of honesty becomes too high. The social penalties become too steep. The loneliness of being the only person in the room who won't pretend becomes too heavy. And so they begin to compromise, not all at once, but slowly, incrementally, in ways that feel small in the moment. They start agreeing with things they don't believe. They start laughing at the table even when nothing is funny. They start performing versions of themselves that fit the container the world has built for them. They sell themselves, piece by piece, for belonging, for safety, for the relief of not being different anymore. But not you. You held on to something real. You stayed honest, even when it cost you friendships, even when it cost you opportunities, even when it made you the uncomfortable one in the room, the one who wouldn't just go along with the narrative, the one who asked the questions everyone else was afraid to ask. That honesty, that refusal to betray what you knew to be true, is not just a character trait. It is a spiritual practice. It is the thing that kept you connected to the source. It is the thread that leads you home. Part 5. Why solitude chose you. At some point in the journey of the chosen one, solitude becomes not a punishment, but a sanctuary. And I want to speak to those of you who have been sitting in a period of unusual quiet, a period where the social life has thinned, where the circle has gotten smaller, where you found yourself spending more and more time alone with your thoughts, your prayers, your dreams, your questions. I know how that can feel from the outside. It can feel like failure. It can feel like you're falling behind, while everyone else is out there living loudly, posting highlights, collecting experiences. It can feel like a kind of exile. But I want to offer you another way to see it. Solitude is the training ground of the chosen. Every spiritual tradition on earth agrees on this one thing. The ones who are destined to carry light into the world spend time first in darkness, not the darkness of despair, but the darkness of gestation, the darkness of a seed underground before it breaks through the soil. Moses in the desert, Buddha under the tree, Jesus in the wilderness, every mystic, every prophet, every person who later stood and said something that changed the world. They all went through a period of radical solitude that felt, from the inside, like being forgotten. But heaven does not forget its appointments. The universe does not misplace its chosen ones. The solitude was the preparation. The silence was the curriculum. The loneliness was the forge. And what is being forged in your solitude right now is something the world has never seen before, because it is uniquely you, uniquely shaped by your specific journey, your specific pain, your specific revelation. Part 6: The Spiritual Architect Word. You are of your calling. Let's go deeper now. Let's talk about what it actually means on a spiritual level to be called to something. Because there is a difference between wanting something and being called to something. Wanting is about desire, it's about what feels good, what seems attractive, what appeals to the ego. Being called is different. Being called has a weight to it that wanting never has. Being called means that when you try to walk away from it, and you have tried, haven't you? You feel it pulling you back, like a compass that cannot stop pointing north, no matter how many times you try to reorient it. You have tried to be normal. You have tried to settle. You have tried to lower the vision to something more manageable, more acceptable, more comfortable. And every single time, something in you rebelled, not loudly, not dramatically, but with a quiet, persistent, undeniable force. That force is your calling, and your calling is not random. It is not arbitrary. It is the precise intersection of who you are, your particular gifts, your specific wounds, your unique perspective, and what the world needs most. The universe doesn't make mistakes in its assignments. What you have been given to carry was given to you because you are the one equipped to carry it, not someone else, not someone with more credentials, more followers, more validation. Air, with your history, with your scars, with your questions, with your fire. Part 7: The Betrayals That Were Blessings. I want to talk about the people who left, the ones who were supposed to be there and weren't, the ones who saw your vision and chose not to believe it, the ones who stayed close long enough to witness your most vulnerable moments and then used that intimacy against you. The ones who smiled at your success while privately hoping you would fail. The ones who didn't betray you dramatically with a single act of treachery, but slowly, quietly, through 100 small choices that added up to abandonment. I want to talk about them because, if you are the chosen one, you have had more than your share of these, and the reason is not coincidental. The path of the chosen one always involves a stripping away of false support, because false support is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to someone on a sacred mission. False support feels real. It feels warm and comforting and validating, but it is built on sand, and if you had built your life on it, if those people had stayed, if those relationships had held, you would have built something that looked impressive from the outside, but had no real foundation. The betrayals were the universe's way of quality testing your foundation, of removing from your life everything that was not truly solid, so that what you build next would be built on rock. Every person who left made space for someone who was aligned to arrive. Every door that closed redirected you toward the door that was actually meant for you. I know that doesn't erase the pain. I know that understanding something doesn't immediately heal the wound it caused. But understanding it changes what you do with it. Instead of carrying betrayal as evidence that you are unworthy of loyalty, you can carry it as evidence that the universe is serious about your mission. Part 8. The Mirror Nobody Else You Will Behold. Here is one of the most powerful things I know about the Chosen One. They become a mirror, not intentionally, not by design, but because the honesty they carry, the refusal to participate in illusion that we talked about earlier, creates a kind of clarity in their presence that makes other people see themselves more clearly, and not everyone is ready for that. Some people, when they stand near someone who is truly honest, truly authentic, truly living in alignment with something real, they feel uncomfortable, they feel exposed, they feel the gap between who they are presenting themselves to be and who they actually are. And instead of being grateful for that clarity, they become hostile toward the person who holds the mirror. This is why the honest ones are often the most misunderstood. This is why the most spiritually awake people in any room are often the most socially isolated. Not because they are doing something wrong, but because their very presence is a confrontation with something most people are working very hard to avoid confronting. If this resonates with you, if you have often found yourself in situations where people became inexplicably hostile or cold or distant without any clear reason, I want you to consider that what they were reacting to was not you personally. It was the mirror. It was what they saw in themselves when they stood near the clarity you carried. You were not the problem. You were the reflection, and reflections are only unwelcome to people who are afraid of what they'll see. Part 9. Northeast. Chosen the Northeast. Eston TMPETE. This is something that will change how you move through the world if you truly receive it. The Chosen One does not compete, not because they are arrogant, not because they believe they have nothing to learn from others, but because the mission they are on is so specific, so uniquely theirs, so perfectly tailored to the precise shape of who they are, that there is genuinely no competition for it. Nobody else can do what you are here to do, not because you are superior, but because you are singular. Your combination of experiences, gifts, wounds, wisdom, and perspective has never existed before and will never exist again. The universe does not produce duplicates, it produces originals, and originals do not compete, they create. When you find yourself falling into comparison, scrolling through other people's lives and feeling that particular mixture of admiration and inadequacy, it is because you have temporarily forgotten your singularity. You have temporarily confused your path with theirs, but your path is not their path. Your timeline is not their timeline. Your calling is not their calling. Every moment you spend measuring your progress against someone else's highlight reel is a moment stolen from the mission that only you can complete. There will come a day, and it may be closer than you think, when the thing you are becoming will be so clearly, undeniably, specifically yours, that the comparison will seem almost comical in retrospect. When you look back at the times you were afraid you were falling behind, you will understand that you were not behind. You were being shaped, you were being prepared, you were being made ready for something that required exactly this much time, exactly this much experience, exactly this much depth. Part 10. The Dark Night of the Soul. I cannot write this message and skip over this part, because if you are truly on the path of the Chosen One, you have been through, or you are currently in, what the mystics call the dark night of the soul. This is not a metaphor. This is a real spiritual experience that has been described with remarkable consistency across centuries. across cultures, across traditions. It is the experience of being completely stripped of your old certainties. The frameworks that used to hold your life together no longer work. The identities that used to give you comfort no longer fit. The beliefs that used to carry you no longer feel solid. And in their absence, there is a darkness, not the darkness of depression, though it can feel similar, but the darkness of transformation, of the caterpillar dissolved completely inside the chrysalis before the butterfly is possible. Everything that was you has been liquefying in service of what you are becoming. And in that liquid state, in that formless, directionless, uncertain space, the terror is real, the questions are relentless. Who am I? What is real? What was ever real? Was any of it true? Is there anything solid left? And the answer, the one you can only find by going all the way through rather than turning back, the answer is yes. There is something solid. There is something that cannot be dissolved or destroyed or taken away. It is the core of you, the part that is made of the same stuff as the stars, the same intelligence that holds the planets in their orbits. The dark night of the soul is not the end of the story. It is the threshold, the chosen ones who come out the other side, and you will come out the other side, are the ones the world has been waiting for, not polished, not perfect, but real, elemental, unbreakable. Part 11. Your northeast sky is a form of love. I want to come back to the theme of honesty, because I feel there is more to say, something that connects it not just to courage or integrity, but to love, because the deepest kind of honesty is a form of love. When you refuse to tell someone a comfortable lie, when you choose truth even knowing it will create discomfort, you are doing something profoundly loving. You are saying, I respect you too much to deceive you. I believe in your capacity to handle reality. I trust you with truth, because I see you as strong enough for it. The world will tell you that kindness means making people comfortable. The world will tell you that love means telling people what they want to hear. But the world is confused about love. Real love, the kind that actually serves the people you care about. Real love tells the truth. Real love sees the potential in someone more clearly than they see it in themselves, and refuses to let them settle for less than that potential. Real love speaks, even when silence would be easier. Real love says the hard thing. Real love stays honest, and if you have been this kind of honest, if you have paid the social price of being the one who wouldn't lie to make the room comfortable, then you have been practicing one of the highest forms of love available to human beings. Your honesty was not cruelty. Your directness was not arrogance. Your refusal to perform agreement was not stubbornness. It was love. It was you taking other people seriously enough to give them the only gift that actually lasts, the truth. Part 12. The Rewashington RD that is already here. I want to speak directly now to those of you who are tired, who have been on the path for a long time, years, maybe decades, and who are starting to wonder if the breakthrough is ever really coming, who have held the vision and done the work and stayed honest and endured the solitude and survived the dark night, and still find themselves in a season that doesn't look like what they imagined. I want to speak to that exhaustion with love and with honesty. The first thing I want to say is this: the reward is not only coming, in many ways, it is already here. It is here in the person you have become through everything you've endured. It is here in the clarity you now carry that you couldn't have had without the confusion. It is here in the depth of your compassion, which could only have been grown through your own experience of suffering. It is here in the quality of your wisdom, which could only have been earned through your own experience of being wrong and learning better. The person you are today, the one who stayed honest, who didn't quit, who survived the fire, that person is the reward, not the destination you have reached yet, not the success that hasn't arrived yet, but the being that you are right now, standing in this moment, carrying everything you've carried and still burning, that is extraordinary, that is rare, that is the fruit of a life lived with genuine commitment to something real, and yes, the external manifestation is coming. The thing you've been building toward is approaching, but do not make the mistake of missing the miracle of who you already are while you're waiting for evidence you can measure. Part 13. The message you carry. Every chosen one carries a message, not necessarily in words, sometimes in the way they live, sometimes in the choices they make, sometimes in the way they love people fully, without conditions, without the transactional arithmetic that most relationships run on, sometimes in the work they create, sometimes in the space they hold for others who are going through the same fire they already survived. But there is a message in you. There is something that your life, your specific, unrepeatable, impossible to fabricate life, says to the world. And the world needs it, not someday, not when you figured everything out, not when you're ready. The world needs what you carry right now, in its current, imperfect, still being refined form, because the people who are where you were 5 years ago, the ones who are at the beginning of the fire you've already walked through, they don't need someone perfect. They need someone real. They need someone who has been through it and came out with their soul intact. They need your scars. They need your story. They need the version of you that is available right now, not the version you'll be when you finish polishing yourself into something you think is presentable enough. The message you carry is not meant to be delivered from a podium at some future date when everything is perfect. The message you carry is being delivered right now in how you show up, in how you speak, in how you treat people, in how you refuse to betray the truth you know, in how you love the ones who are placed in your path. Part 14. The VNANT. With your future self, I want you to close your eyes for a moment, or if you can't, then just go inward, and I want you to find the version of yourself that is 10 years from now. Not the anxious projection, not the fear-based imagining of what could go wrong. Find the version that made it, the version that held on through everything that is happening right now. The version that turned out to be everything the younger you hoped for. Now feel that version looking back at you. Feel what they want to say to the you that is here. Right now, in this moment, I believe what they would say is this: it was worth it. Every single moment of confusion was worth it. Every night of doubt was worth it. Every sacrifice was worth it. The thing you couldn't see from where you were, the way it all connects, the way every piece had a purpose, the way nothing was wasted, I can see it from here. And I want you to know, keep going. What you are becoming is something I am proud of. What you are building is something that will last. What you are carrying right now, in the middle of the fire, carry it a little longer. Because what's coming is beyond what you can currently imagine. The future self, the one who made it, is not a fantasy. They are the inevitable outcome of a chosen one who refused to quit. They are real. And the distance between here and there is just time and trust and the continued choice to stay honest. Part 15. Final Accord IVATION. Rise. We have come to the end of this message and the beginning of something else, because words, however true, are only the beginning. The real work, the real living of this happens in the choices you make after you close this video. In the moment when you are tempted to shrink and you choose instead to stand, in the moment when the lie would be easier and you choose instead the truth, in the moment when giving up seems logical and you choose instead to hold on, in the moment when your greatness asks you to take up more space than feels comfortable and you choose instead to expand. You are the chosen one, not because you are perfect, not because you have arrived, not because the path has been easy or because you've never fallen, or because you carry yourself with certainty you don't always feel. You are the chosen one because you were made with a fire in you that the world could not extinguish, because you stayed honest when dishonesty would have been so much more comfortable, because you refused, at the deepest level, to betray what you know to be true about yourself and about what you are here to do. The tests were real and you passed them. The darkness was real and you survived it. The loneliness was real and it shaped you into something rare. Now rise. Not for the approval of the world, not for the validation of people who haven't walked your path. Rise. Because you owe it to the version of you that held on through everything. Rise because the mission you carry is not for you alone, it is for everyone whose life will be changed when you finally, fully, unapologetically step into who you are. Rise because the world has been waiting for someone exactly like you, and the waiting is over. The time is now. You are the chosen one. You are the only one who stayed honest, and that changes everything. The one who stayed when it was hard, who spoke when it was costly, who burned when the world poured cold water. The one is chosen not by accident, but by design. Rise.